Hi, and welcome to Wise Words TV. Today I'm joined by Janet Still, who is a retired nurse practitioner turned sci-fi novelist. So I'm very excited to chat to Janet today and find out all about the wise words that she runs her life and business by. Hi, Janet, how are you?
I am great. Thanks for having me, Ellen.
So, first of all, maybe give us a very quick rundown of your career up to the point where you started writing fiction in your career.
You mean before? Yes.
Before.
I was a critical care nurse in one of the busiest intensive care emergency departments in San Diego County for a while. And I was a nurse practitioner and took care for a long time. I've been a health coach and nurse practitioner, patient advocate for, so yeah, online, mostly telehealth type things. Yeah, I guess that's all I can say really about nursing. Nursing has its own reputation, I suppose.
But that must have been so challenging and rewarding to be working in that kind of environment. How many years did you do the
From 2002 to 2012, then I went on to be doing the telehealth and the consultations and stuff.
right? Okay. A bit of a more calmer pace of life, I assume.
Definitely.
And you been writing, or is that something you've always loved to do?
Yes, I started writing pretty young when my grandmother gave me a diary at age 13. By 20, I was writing poetry almost every day.
Wow.
And my sister and I had very vivid imaginations, and we both loved to read, especially fantasy and sci fi.
Yeah.
And so we were always writing up and making up our own fantasies and sci fi. So I never really stopped. And while I was a nurse, I actually penned a little mini series with a nurse practitioner as the main character.
Okay. I was
And
going to say, how much do you draw real life? Have you always, as you were writing when you were younger, was it all fantasy or was it drawn from real life as well?
oh, definitely drawn from real life, especially because I've always been a science freak,
Yeah.
kind of a nerd. And
Yeah.
at least that's what I was always called by all my classmates. And yeah, so science to me was always fun. I was more probably into the sci-fi than my sis was.
Yeah.
She was probably more into fantasy, but
All right. So now tell me about the book you're writing at the moment. Is this your first?
my first like real total fictional story, it came from I was doing a lot of flash fiction competitions with lit mags and stuff. And this one story wouldn't leave me. I wrote it sort of like a lark, just like, oh, let's just see what,
Yeah.
and it has the basis of it. And I love microbiology. That's probably my favorite science. And also xenobiology is fascinating to me to
Okay.
think about, which is, alien life, the microbiology of other planets and other solar systems and things. And so, yeah, I just took that story and it's very character driven. And I just could not get it out of my mind. So, after a few years, that was in 2012. By 2017, I was writing things down, making notes. And so I had a whole gang of people that wanted to support me doing it. So I started writing it chapter by chapter. We called them the alpha readers. They would get a chapter every month and they would send me back, feedback and so on, how the tale was affecting them. And I'd ask them to be sure and tell me, about this or that part of it, because I was wanting to make sure I got the craft right, the writing,
Yeah.
because that's a thing.
Yeah.
And I didn't, yeah. And so that was a blast. And these people, even though when COVID lockdown happened, I kind of let everybody go because it's kind of like a different time. Everybody kind of needed to go take care of their own and so on. But these people never let this story go. And they've been following me all along as I finished it and asking questions about their favorite characters and things like that. So it made me feel like, okay, I'll keep doing this. I
So,
finished.
alpha readers, are they people you know, or are they people that do that as a kind of job, or how does that work? Is that a common
Well,
thing?
it can be all of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
With me, it was people that I knew. Some of them, though, I didn't really know that well, because there was a little bit of a word of mouth thing among friends, mutual friends.
Yeah.
And I just wanted people, they had to be able to have tech ability because I was over here in the UK and these people were all over the place. Yeah, they had to be able to do that because I didn't want to have to go to a whole lot of trouble giving a different form of the chapter
Yeah,
every
yeah,
time I
yeah.
gave it to them in Word. And yeah, so they also, though, I wanted them to be into fiction, and they had to understand that, hey, it's a work in progress. You are the beginning people, so it's not going to be perfect. Forget about the grammar and all that.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have like because I know different writers have different processes, and some people say, oh, I don't even know what my process would be. But did you know for example, did you know the end when you started, or has that evolved?
Yeah, I pretty much knew the end, and I pretty early on made an outline for it because I'm a weird one because I'm kind of both. There's people that have to have it all. I mean, I have writer friends, they have outrageous thing that they create all these like Excel documents and different ways they do that. I can't do all that because I lose the to me I call it a love. It's like the love of describing what people go through in life through my characters. And so yeah, I have to also do what my favorite writer of all time, Ursula Le Guin. I've read tons of her essays. She's so inspiring to me. And she always said when people would ask her, well, like, what charts did you create? And all these things, she would go, what? And she would say, well, how did you know what to write? My subconscious told me. She would
Wow.
answer.
Yeah,
And it's
that's a talent.
definitely, yeah, well, I mean, is it talent though? I mean,
Right.
subconscious sometimes you can't ignore it, it's talking to you. And when it's a story, it's like, oh wow, that's fun. And I'll
Yeah,
even like laugh at what's come out of my subconscious, and
yeah.
the book does have humor all through it too, even though it's kind of challenging what they're going through.
Yeah. Do you know, I'm so in awe of anyone that could write fiction. And as I read a lot as well, and I do read a bit of sci-fi and fantasy, and I'm just like, how does someone think of it? It's so amazing. I'd love to be able to do it. And that's why I'm so interested in the process. I do listen to a lot of writers talk about their process, and everybody's different. Some people are just like, I just have to sit and write and just let it flow. And other people are very like organized with it. And I feel like I would probably need to be in that camp where I'd have a lot of lists going on.
And those people that do that, they write good stories. I would think too that helps them with the revision. So I've written the whole thing.
Yeah.
I've got some agents interested and so on. And I'm working with someone on the manuscript next week. We're having meetings about it and stuff. But the thing is that if I had written it all orderly, like, in my brain, my left side of the brain, this revision might not be such a freak out. It's literally a freak out. And some people call it, how many of your babies have you killed? That's what some writers will say.
It's like Stephen King's kill your darlings comment.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So talking about the wise words theme, is there anyone from a writing perspective or was there anything that kind of played in your head in terms of a motivational quote even, or something that you really drew on to help you when you were writing?
Yeah, there's a number of things. And speaking of Ursula, she has so many things. I actually wrote something down from her because every time I started thinking about her, and it was because of you talking and us saying that we're going to get together. This quote is about the distinction between writing what she calls phony stories. She can be quite the critic of sci-fi, right? But she has definitive ideas. And her quote is about the difference between phony stories and what she calls writing in the direction of the great myths and legends. And she says it's always towards an intensification of the mystery of the real. And I find that almost magical, those words, the mystery of the real, because we like to think of our life as it's real and it's very solid, but it's really because there's a mystery in it. Like, why do we love? Why do we fall in love? Why do we do things we do sometimes when we're very practical otherwise? Right?
Yeah, okay. Almost like you feel like you're in control from a physical or practical point of view as you go through your life, but then there's this just undercurrent of almost stuff that you can't explain and almost can't really control either, that especially when you're talking about love and that kind of thing, and like big feelings and big emotions.
And like how, even though you say that you would be someone that would write it all in control and have it together, yet you love to read those stories that are the fantasies and the by some of them. So why?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I do. Why do we? I do think about that a lot. Like, what is it that makes you like something and not like something? What is
Yeah.
that preference? And like, I've got a baby daughter. She's 10 months old, and she doesn't have that cognitive ability to know what she like. How do I word it? She doesn't have the consciousness to know why she likes or doesn't like something, or wants or doesn't want something. Yet she still knows. Do you know what I mean? It's very
Yeah, I do. And Ursula Le Guin talks about that a lot too. Now that you bring that up about the children, she said that at some point it used to be a big part of humans through all life that there were stories told, like around the campfires or whatever in the cave or something, and that when did we stop having story be part of who we are? And she said that at a certain point it was made that it was only for children, this kind of magical tale, and that adults, we have to get serious and participate, I guess, in the commercial world and survive in this crazy modern world. So, but I think there's kind of what do you think? I feel a resurgence going on right now with people loving fantasy and sci-fi.
Definitely. Yeah, I think so. In the top 10 I think there was probably 4 or 5 sci-fi or fantasy books within that top 10, which
Well,
I think is crazy.
yeah. I guess, especially like I think that 20, when it was the COVID lockdown, that in a way we all had to go into fantasy a bit, didn't we? Watch TV, live streaming.
Escapism, yeah. Definitely. But I think there is an element, I mean, it's widely known that people read fiction for escapism. And going back to that point you made about children, the stories that we've told for generations and generations, and for some reason right now we feel like as we grow up we suddenly don't need stories anymore. But there was such a good way of passing on information, and just to bring that back even to the marketing level, like kind of what I do in work, storytelling is still such a powerful way of passing messages along, whether they're subliminal or whether they obviously have got a moral kind of compass to them. But yeah, it's so important, even as adults, I think, to continue that storytelling and use it as a vehicle for passing information on to each other in a more, I don't know, fun way. And we don't have to be so serious all the time.
Yeah. Because psychology shows that if you are doing things to relax and be happy, then you're going to be more well-rounded. But then, our life in general kind of doesn't encourage it sometimes.
Do you find writing relaxing or not?
It's a two-way thing there, because the actual process of the writing, sometimes life keeps getting in the way and interrupting. And there will be periods where you're going, oh, by the time you sit down, you go, oh, I don't even know. Where was I going with this? What was I going to write? I've lost it. But when I start writing, wow, I cannot even give form to what happens. It's speaking of the word, using the word magic again. What else is it? It's a mystery for sure. During the process, I'll walk around the house and I'll say to my spouse, wow, I'm just having so much fun with this. And he's going, good. That's what you're supposed to be doing.
That's amazing. So you really get into that flow state where you're really kind of in the zone.
Yeah, you see it coming together, and it almost seems like it's not you doing it.
So maybe my next question maybe it's related to your book or something that's happened. So if you think back to this year, for 2025, what would you say is the wisest thing that you've said yes to? Is there anything that you've been like, I'm so glad I said yes to that?
Yeah, definitely, because I decided I was going to take it up a notch and get more involved in a Master of Fine Arts program. And I did that and get more involved in some of the writing communities that I've just been sort of on the fringe of. There was a time in my life when writing communities, maybe they weren't as big, or maybe they were just kind of stiffer about, informal that way anymore. And I definitely, through this getting together with you, I'd love to encourage people that are holding back from communities that in actuality, the communities have become very understanding of one another, very supportive.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of communities and they're helping everybody to keep going with it. And also they are understanding of if you're having a block or you're just stuck with something, you can find everything through your writing communities. And the literacy consultancy, they're based, I guess, out of London, but they actually have members from all around the world, although it does seem to mostly be UK. They're wonderful. They're incredible. So I really would recommend them for sure.
Okay, that's great. So your wise words to pass on to anybody who is thinking about writing would be to join these networks, to become a member of the communities around you. Yeah. Okay, that's really good.
Yeah, you can link up to, good craft books on the craft of writing. You can just hear from people different ideas that will stimulate you or maybe break you free of something that's holding you back you didn't even know was holding.
And also there's like that accountability aspect as well, that sometimes some people need that, don't they, to do it because I've said I will, and there's more people in this group that know I'm doing it, so I have to kind of
Yes. Oh,
yeah.
definitely. In fact, that's another thing I should mention is write-togethers all around the world at practically every hour of the 24-hour day that you can join. And I was amazed. I wanted to do the write together because I felt, well, like, okay, perfect. It'll make me do it. But what I didn't realize is going to happen is at the beginning, we all say what we're working on. Then we work on it. And then at the end, we talk about what progress we made or didn't.
Yes.
The whole thing is you suddenly feel like, well, I got to get back in there because, for the next time you can make excuses not to go.
Yeah.
Want to do it because you feel like you're letting everybody else down.
Yeah, it's almost like having that gym partner, isn't it? The person you go on exercise with, so you don't want to let them down. Oh, that's so great. Perfect. All right. One last question for you. And maybe you go back to the answer you gave before about your author, but who's the wisest person that you know?
Well, there's all kinds of people and definitely authors. Like I could name, they're all female authors, by the way.
Yes.
But another thing I kind of wondered if I should say it or not, but it's my grandmother. And it wasn't, I mean, she supported all of us and pursuing higher education when she didn't even get to have one. But yet she was amazing. She was very grounded human being and incredible. She was so generous with her love and affection, yet in a very reserved kind of way. And simultaneously, she was someone I knew I could always take any problem to, and she would listen. So she really taught me how to listen. And listening, it turns out, is super important for being a good writer. And so I owe a lot to her. I think of her every day. Things make me think of her. And I should say more because it feels like I'll start crying.
And I think just having a role model like that in your life is so important. And the listening thing, I say that all the time for what I do as well. It's a different type of writing, the things I do with my writing, but listening, that is the most important thing, and active listening as well. And there's such a big difference between waiting for someone to stop talking which is what a lot of conversations are, where one person's talking, the other person's waiting for them to stop so they can say their thing, and then that cycle continues. Whereas there's a difference between that and actively listening to somebody, where you're taking in what they're saying and not necessarily just waiting for your turn to talk. So important as well.
Yes, definitely. I agree.
Oh, thank you so much, Janet. I've really, really enjoyed this conversation. You have inspired me. Maybe I will try and write something at some point.
Let me all completely support you all the way. I love to get people to write.
Thank you.